Okay, what's up YouTube? It's Q-Ill coming at you with another video. This one's kind of different, I would say. Basically, I want to talk about the video. I don't know if you guys have seen it. I just had like 10 to 15 of my friends on Facebook just share the link, but it's the video of this kid. He seems to be like Chinese, getting beat up by like 6-7 other kids. The reason why I want to comment on this, I mean, it's not that I'm trying to like get fame off of it or whatever. This is pretty much out to anyone, you know, who's ever experienced something like that. When I was in elementary school and middle school, you know, it wasn't uncommon to get into fights like that after school and all that, and you know, it was very hard to deal with. I dealt with it in my own ways, but you know, it's hard. Like, you know, you're always gonna end up taking some punches, and sometimes you even dish them out. And kids don't learn sometimes until they face the consequences. The reason why I'm talking about it on YouTube is not because I'm, you know, watching the video and it's viral and I want, you know, to get my piece of the action. It's actually because my little brother, who's a senior in high school now, recently got into an argument over rumors with a guy threatening him and me as well. And I just want to say, like, I understand that, you know, kids are kids, and they're going to resort to whatever they see in, you know, television, the media, video games, parents, whatever you want to blame. There's 1,000,001 reasons to blame it, but I believe the individual has to take some responsibility, and that there should be education available for, you know, the ones that are bullying kids and, you know, fighting, but also for those who are being bullied and the victims. In this situation, it was, you know, 7-on-1, 6-on-1, whatever. There might not have been that many opportunities to defend himself. I mean, those are pretty staggering odds, no matter, you know, who you put in that situation. And, you know, God forbid, if there were any, you know, weapons involved, you know, it might not have ended pretty. So, I mean, you guys can look up the video. I'm not going to even put up the link because I don't believe in glorifying, basically, you know, people getting injured and stuff like that. So, you guys can look up the video if you want. But it's basically an Asian kid getting beat up, jumped in Chicago. And the motives are very unclear. I've seen a couple videos attempting to explain, but of course it's not in the most easily understood terms, and you know, these are little kids, so their stories are kind of loopy on its own. So basically the points that I want to touch on are the effect of media, social networking, and things like YouTube on situations like this. The second point I want to touch on is possibly ways that, you know, you can alter the atmosphere so that you can prevent things like this from occurring, and, you know, if they do occur, how you can try to get yourself out of the situation. So I'll talk about the media influences and YouTube influences first. First of all, now with the advent of Facebook, MySpace, text messaging, you know, FaceTime, whatever, all of that stuff, word is spreading like wildfire. If there's a rumor, or, you know, there's a picture, whether it's real or fake, you know, photoshopped or whatever, anything like that that could potentially ruin someone's life or, you know, start some fight like this, it's gonna happen. And the thing is, I want to tell, especially to my young viewers, your online life isn't everything. You know, I may act a certain way in front of a camera, but I may act totally different with my friends. That's up to me, and that's my life. How you want to act too is dictated by how you want to act, and you know, you shouldn't do anything that you'll be ashamed of, obviously, but you should also take responsibility for what you do behind a keyboard and mouse as well as in person, because nowadays, you know, in psychology, we learn something called the 6 degrees of separation. Basically, what that means is between you and a total stranger that you will meet out in the street, they are a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend, 6 degrees, 6 people away of separation maximum in society. And with the advent of social networking, like I've said, you know, that separation has gotten much smaller. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to a car show, you know, parked to some random person and saw their picture on my Facebook the next day because they're a friend of my friend. I understand that's a very specific situation, but you would be surprised how close a total stranger is to you. And that is my word of caution, because, you know, if you are the type of person who will victimize someone and run away, your chances of being caught, especially with, you know, HD photography, surveillance, social networking, all of the above, you know, there's just no way pretty much you can get away. There's no perfect crime, so to speak, anymore. So I just would not do it. And, you know, just from a moral standpoint, like, I really hope it keeps people humble, and, you know, people lay off. You know, there's always you know, you could joke and stuff, you know, racism or whatever, but at the same time, you know, there is a line there, and if you're not willing to take accountability for your actions and be responsible, then just don't do it. Simple as that. The second thing I want to talk about is defending yourself, or, you know, getting yourself out of the situation so you won't have to defend yourself. At my high school, there was a situation. I'm Korean American, and there happened to be a kid who was Korean American at my school as well. But for some reason, I guess he didn't really appreciate his heritage or something like that. He would always start fights with other Koreans, fellow Koreans. I mean, we're all American, but, you know, just the fact that we're Asian, you would think that there isn't Asian on Asian hate or whatever. There is, believe it or not. But we didn't pay him no mind, and we thought it was over. Turns out he gets in a fight, and I was student body president of my school. He gets in a fight, so of course we have to deal with it as a leadership class, you know, briefing the students. Okay, sorry about that. Didn't realize that the camera was cut off. Yeah, basically, we had to brief the students on what not to do in school and all that stuff, but, you know, he ended up getting stabbed in a fight because the smaller kid felt threatened. He got beat up already, and his friend handed him a knife. Now, in that situation, who do you blame here? You know, do you blame the bigger kid for beating up the smaller kid? Do you blame the friend for having a weapon on campus? Or do you blame, you know, the smaller kid who got beat up and, you know, was forced to defend himself, probably in his mind the best way that he could? And in that situation, you know, it's very easy to point fingers every which way. I felt bad for all of them pretty much, except for the kid who got stabbed, because, you know, like, that kind of situation could happen any day in real life. Yes, it's supposed to be a controlled environment because it's a public school, but at the same time, you know, it's still a public school. People can walk on campus, firearms, knives, other weapons do exist. So sometimes I believe you should watch what you do and watch what you say to, you know, every person. That's why I personally try not to keep enemies. I don't want to, you know, get in a fight with anyone, and I make it a point of, you know, trying to be on the defensive everywhere I go. If I, you know, go somewhere where I feel like my life may be in danger, or someone else's life may be in danger, you have to mentally prepare yourself for that. And if you don't, and you just want to say, oh, you're paranoid or whatever, you'll never realize what you can possibly lose in your life until it happens, or your life in general. So, with that said, I believe everyone should, especially those of you who are smaller, like I was the shortest kid at my school. I took Taekwondo since I was 3, and I got my black belt when I was 12, I believe, or 13. Just to have a little bit of peace of mind of how to defend yourself if I was cornered. Obviously, the first thing I would say, especially in this situation where there were 6 or 7 of them against that one person, I would say run. There's nothing wrong with leaving with your life. Anyone who tells you otherwise has not been jumped before, and has not been beaten, badly before, because they wouldn't know. If it's a one-on-one situation and you feel like it's something you have to deal with, I'm not gonna tell you what to do, but I would still suggest, not fighting, because there are plenty of other ways for it to be dealt with without even having to go to the authorities. For example, what I did with the situation with my little brother is literally talk to this guy and see what he wanted. 9 times out of 10, people don't want to fight. Even if you fight, let's say, the worst, weakest person, there's always a chance you're going to get hurt too. I would think most people don't want to fight deep down inside. They want something from you, whether they lost something because of you, or their pride or ego was damaged. They want probably something along the lines of an apology, or to be able to chew you out, which doesn't really cost you anything except maybe a little bit of pride. So honestly, number one thing you could possibly do if the threat is not serious would be to talk things out. That way no one gets in trouble. You don't need to worry about things escalating to the point of serious injury or death even. And, you can handle it like a true grown-up man or woman. I think fighting is just despicable, and especially with little kids, I don't see any point in it. And, there's a time and place for everything, and that is definitely not it. I didn't grow up in the best neighborhood, so sometimes situations, led to one thing or another, and you would have to defend yourself because there would be no alternatives. So, I'm not endorsing anyone taking any sort of weapon or anything like that to school. But, for example, a roll of quarters, or, even like a marker or something like that, can be used to defend yourself. And there are plenty of videos out there with, legal, non-lethal weapons or, means of defense that could help prevent you from, being seriously injured, at least giving you a chance to get away. But like I said, number one line of defense, in my opinion, is figuring out what exactly the other person wants. Because last thing you would want them to do is seriously injure you or kill you or involve anyone that you care about. For me personally, the situation with my brother, it got personal because of the fact that he not only threatened me, but he also threatened my family. And you definitely do not want to do that to someone, especially more older and wiser than you, because you're just asking for trouble, I think. And kids nowadays, I think, are a little too hot-headed and impulsive, especially with things like the social networking, Facebook, and text messaging and all that, because you don't realize how much feeling or sentiments is lost in just an email or a text message, because you're sitting there reading it in your voice, not necessarily the person who wrote it. So things like, oh yeah, for sure, sarcasm, or like, you better stop that, will come out totally differently in your mind. You can think it's a joke, or it's not a joke, or whatever you want to think, and that's what leads to a lot of problems, I know all of you guys know about the Facebook drama and MySpace drama and all that stuff, so I don't even think I have to explain it to you, but just keep that in mind. And I think speaking, especially in person, trying to be mature, can yield better results than threatening or, you know, just fighting right off the bat. And if that doesn't work, you know, there's no shame in going to the authorities or, you know, going to administration at your school. I know there's that whole thing about like, oh, I don't want to be a snitch or whatever. Yeah, I mean, but we're not like drug cartel like mafia families. It's not snitching on an FBI case or something like that. This is real life, and you're probably snitching over a suspension because some idiot won't leave you alone. Like, if they don't want to leave you alone and they want to use that excuse, then, you know, tell them to stop so you don't have to snitch. I mean, tell them you don't want to snitch, but what other alternative do you have? And if they don't want to listen, why are you doing them a favor? I just don't understand that. So you shouldn't have a complex about it, and you shouldn't think about it too much. Just keep yourself safe and focused, and, you know, do well in school and keep yourself out of trouble. There's totally a million and one things you can do, you know, in terms of hobbies and useful ways to use your energy. And there's no point in fighting or violence or anything like that because, you know, whether you're religious or not, I'm kind of religious, it just won't make you a good person in the end. There are much more positive things that you can actually get props for and people will respect you for rather than violence. So, I mean, I've rambled a lot, kind of testing out my new video system with the lighting and all that. Sorry my face was cut off. Sorry this video is so long, but it's just something I really wanted to get off my chest, and if I can do one thing on YouTube, I hope it's to change the younger viewers' perception of what's going on in society so that, you know, YouTube isn't just seen as like a fail blog of society. It's actually changing something. So with that, I really hope those other kids get disciplined severely. I don't know what the backstory is, but nobody deserves to be beaten like that. So yeah, I mean, if you guys know anything or have any information, please provide that to the Chicago police, and hopefully we'll see some results of all of this because, yeah, it's getting a lot of attention, and I think it's worthwhile because cyberbullying and all that stuff is just getting way out of hand, I think, and people need to be held accountable for their actions, and you can't just hide behind a screen name your whole life because someday someone's gonna know you and someone's gonna see your face, and yeah, then you're really gonna be held accountable. So I hope you guys all keep that in mind. Hope you guys all become responsible internet users and all that stuff, and yeah, say what you gotta say. Don't feel shy, and, you know, I'm a straight up person and I can also take criticism, but just keep in mind that whether you know or not, someone's always watching, whether it's Big Brother or whoever. Okay, take it easy, guys. Hope I get some more fun, lighthearted videos for you guys. Peace.